didn't want to be a part of this family, and now I'm part of some dodgy family curse.
Okay. Freaky Friday 2003 is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yay.
To the point where every time me and my mom separate, we say, make good choices.
Oh, wow.
Every time. I imagine you've been asked about this sequel for the last 20-some years.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did it happen? I've heard you manifested it, kind of.
I'm a bit of a manifester. So the truth of the matter is, the movie was great. When it came out, we all had a great time. It was a beautiful experience. And Lindsay was 15. And, the movie did great, and blah, 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 go off and make a lot of things. One of the things I did was the Halloween trilogy. Then all of a sudden I was in a Halloween trilogy. And during the last movie, I went around the world, all around the world, and talked about the Halloween movie. And the only other question that was asked to me consistently, every country, every city, every journalist, blah, 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 Halloween, yeah. So when is there going to be another Freaky Friday? And when I've been asked about it in the past, I would say, well, it can't happen because Lindsay has to be old enough to have a teenager. And then when we were making the Halloween, I've said it. And then at one point, I think during an interview, like in one of these, I went, well, she has to be old enough to have a teenager. Wait, how old is she? And it was that kind of like light bulb moment. And I'm, barely got out of high school. So I was like, and I was counting and I was like, how old is she? She's 35? And literally, I know it sounds crazy, in October of whatever year that was, I called Bob Iger when I got home. And I was like, hey, Bob, listen, I've been around the world, and the movie that everybody wants to talk to me about is Freaky Friday. And guess what? Lindsay's old enough to have a baby.
Yeah.
And so it began.
It is funny because I'm the same age as Lindsay, and watching it now, it's like I have a totally different perspective on like, oh, the mom is just right, and like it's
sure.
so funny.
And by the way, I don't mean that Lindsay's old enough to have a baby. Lindsay's old enough to have a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all of a sudden the math is that by 20 she was a single mom.
Yeah.
And so now her daughter's 15, she's 35.
Yeah.
So it's the only way that you could make this movie. I mean, there's no other way.
Yeah. Well, Sophia, for you, what stuck out to you about the 2003 version?
Well,
Are you not
loved-
British?
Oh, no, I'm not British. You got me there. Well, I really, really liked Anna's character. Because I also wanted to be, at the time I'd watched it, I was in a huge, like, Avril Lavigne, Green Day phase. I still am, but, like, at the time I'd watched it for the first time, I felt the same kind of, like, urges as she did to kind of want to, like, go out and be rebellious and have fun, and I just thought it was so great seeing her switch places with her mom, and then having that perspective shift. It, like, made me as, like, a young teenager be like, oh, wait, actually, I don't need to do all this right now, and I, don't need to get too ahead of myself or anything.
We think we know everything.
Yeah, exactly. So I loved the first one. I was such a big fan.
When you're swapping as each other, what mannerisms did you notice that you had to start picking up, or was maybe the more challenging one to crack?
Well, I instantly had all the, like, finger point. Well, because when I first auditioned, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, like, watch specifically interviews with you in it, because then I felt like that was when you were most, I don't know, like, talking for, like, that, like, not acting. And I noticed all of your
I gesticulate a bit.
Exactly.
A little bossy.
And it was, well, no, you're just direct and
Bossy.
very honest.
Bossy.
I interviewed
amazing.
her one time on a carpet, and the sun was in my eyes. And she's like, I don't like this, and moved the whole carpet around so that I could be in the shade.
Well,
And you know that fire marshal gets, so like
bossy. You know what? It's the job of this. I think it's a little trickier. Obviously, in the original movie, mother, teenager, it's sitting up straight, slumping. I mean, it's just right away you can affect the change.
Right.
In our case, Lily is not a typical teenager. If anything, Lily is very, kind of fashion forward and fashion. So there's a lot more attention to the way she looks and presents because she's very interested in that.
Yeah.
And Tess isn't not interested. Do you know what I mean? Tess isn't a fashion person, but Tess is an adult woman. So what we tried to find was words, because I'm also not English.
Yeah.
And the accent can't
Wait, you're not British either?
No, that can't be, because if Tess all of a sudden had a British accent,
Yeah, she wouldn't
Mark
get away with it.
Harmon's
Yeah.
Ryan would have looked at me and said, honey, we're going to the hospital because you're having some sort of an aneurysm.
That's such a good point.
Ultimately, you have to do it with words and very much costuming. So little neckerchiefs and things like that. I mean, it's the job of...
I think there was also a cadence to it.
Yeah.
Like how you speak versus how Lily speaks. I think Lily's much more in the air and kind of like, even though she is kind of more preppy, she's still a young teenage girl, and you got to be a little more like free with it. And then when I was Tess, I was a little more direct.
Yes.
Like much more,
Phrases, words.
Yeah, phrases.
For me, pause, reframe.
Totally, yeah.
Words like crevices, and starting to use Englishisms in
Like
the words, the
dialogue.
The dialogue was helpful.
Bollocks.
Bollocks.
I have to wrap, but make good choices.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
If you're me and I'm you, then who's that? I'm Grandma, sweetheart.